World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Jana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Good afternoon. Tony Rogers here, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. I hope all is well. We are almost out of January. My goodness, before you know it, we'll be talking about Harlem Week in the summer and how hot it is. So don't complain if it's a little chilly, even though tomorrow is supposed to be nice. Uh, One of my favorite guests that every so often comes on, and she actually came on today because I just got back from Ghana and didn't really have a chance to really put a great show together as I always try to do. And they had some cancellations, so my good friend Dr. Jana Woodhouse, who's part of the Urbanology team, agreed to come on and for those who are beginning to sweat about taxes, I think there's some conversation that we can have about that. Plus, there are a couple of updates about the Harlem Tourism Board that we're going to give. But I would like for you to just give a warm welcome to one of my favorite guests, Dr. Jana Woodhouse.
Hey there, Tony. How are you?
Dr. Woodhouse, I'm doing fine. I hope all is well with you.
No, it's tax season. I
Yeah,
ain't.
yeah, yeah, you know, when it
I'm
came out of
going
my mouth,
crazy.
when it came out of my mouth, I caught myself because I understand how that goes. I'm married to a financial advisor also, who's in the Philippines now, but will probably be going crazy if
Ooh,
he
how
talks.
nice.
Yeah, there's a class reunion now. But there are a couple of things. One, because I usually forget, I have to make there are two announcements. One, the Meadowlank MedPod grand opening will take place February the 6th, and that's on 144th Street and Malcolm X Boulevard, which is a clinic that will open and has the technology that will allow for a new way to look at telemedicine, and actually you'll be able to diagnose with this new technology, and it can travel to people's homes and the like. So again, February 6th, we'll do the tourism board and the Greater Harlem Chamber will be sending out notices about that. The other thing, the
Well,
Harlem
before you
Tourism
go
Board.
further on that, can I interrupt? I just want to know they're opening on the 6th. Will you be able to get serviced on the 6th also? Or is it just a
Probably
walk through?
not on the 6th. It's still to give people an understanding of what's happening, and for those who are interested to fill out the forms that would allow for them to come in on the 8th or the 9th, because I think the 7th is a major event going on with veterans. But for those who are interested in taking part in this new project, and what it is, not to take a lot of time on it, but it, it, it is a way for you, if you go to the clinic, it's just like going to your doctor, or unfortunately going to the emergency room. We want to try to prevent a lot of those unnecessary visits to the emergency room, because with this new technology, the MedPod technology, which was developed by Jack Towell, who created and brought telemedicine to America through Walmart about 20 years ago, and he upscaled and has a new machine out that can be mobile and is stable in the clinic, but can be mobile, and it allows for all of your vitals to be taken, and a doctor to be able to see you and you see him, and that doctor will be able to give a diagnosis, just as if you were going to your um, regular care doctor, or if you had to go to an emergency room. It's the same thing. They can do all kind. They'll be able to do all of that. And
So it's like
boy,
a doctor in a box.
it's like a doctor in a box. As it grows, doctors will love it because it takes them out of the box. So everything that's on the wall is in this machine now. Blood pressure, EKG, you can do all of those things, the mouth, the eyes, the ears. Matter of fact, a few doctors have indicated, especially with the ears, you can get a better reading based on what they're doing because you can blow it up, you can make, draw on it and do all of that stuff. So it'll be a good
Wow.
teaching vehicle to happen. So again, that's February the 6th. HTB, Harlem Tourism Board, will have its first meeting and networking at the Renaissance Hotel, one of the HTB sponsors, on February the 19th from 6:30 to 8. And there's a lot of stuff going on there, which is another program. But we just received an interesting grant to do a tourism program conference sometime in the spring. So there's a number of things that's happening there. And of course, I just came from Ghana, and this is, I would have never known that I would be going. I went in November, and now your classmate Gary Jones, who's doing work in jewelry and the like, asked me to take him down to develop some business opportunities, and
What
that's
part
what
of
I'm.
Ghana did you go?
Well, we went to Accra. I mean, everyone goes to Accra when they stay, but our basic trip was in the north. That's there's no we were looking actually at gold exports, and there are no mines in Accra. Matter of fact, there are people in Accra who have never been to Tamale or the north, and I thought that was interesting because as I'm talking to people, and I'm telling them I'm from Harlem, they say, "Oh wow, we'd like to go to Harlem." And I said, "But have you been to Tamale?" Have you? And most people, Tamale is, if you want to understand Africa. I mean, I've been to different places throughout Africa. Have you been? You've been to the north, Ghana? I mean, have you
I
been?
haven't. I went more towards. I guess that's considered. I was so young then. Uh, it's Latte. I went to Latte, which is not far from Kumasi.
Okay, that's still not up. It,
Is that
Tamale
north?
is, huh? Tom is heading that way because Tamale is about a 6 hour drive from Accra,
Oh yeah, we rode.
but
When I went
it's
back in the days, it was we saw lots of potholes. It was
oh
a
they
rough
still
ride.
my we from Tamale. We had to meet with the political people and people for licenses and all of that stuff. But we had to go then to the mines, which is
Wow.
another maybe 3 miles north in the upper eastern region. And you're talking about potholes. I mean, it was like a roller coaster. I mean, they don't have potholes; they have little canyons. And
Oh yeah, I remember
the
looking
driver,
and stepping in, and I could stand in it.
I don't understand why they're not cars and axles all over. I mean, I wanted to close my eyes, but I wanted to see what was going to do because it was scary, and they like so even if
And
you
they
try to
drive in
sleep,
regular speed too. They even
they,
slow it.
they and I told the guy, what do you do at night? He said, we try not to drive at night. So we were up north. I kept reminding people, the sun is going down.
Time to
let's get
go.
let's get on the road. But
But
anyway,
it's interesting because I know we were leaving from we did from Accra to we had to get to Latte, and that was about I think a 3 hour ride or so. It was a long ride. And I remember the potholes, but then some of the people who have been since then, they said those streets are straightened out, but obviously they haven't straightened out all of them.
well, up north was they all of the money. Most of the politicians, except for the ones now, we have a new president who is from the north. but they put a lot of money in Accra. Accra was. I mean, if you want to go and party and have a good time and you know and do what you do in Mexico or whatever, which is nothing wrong with that, but that's good. You're in Africa, but it's like you in Mexico or New York. If you go
Not the
to
cultural thing.
if you want to see Africa, I mean, in up north, if you, I think many people watch the Woman King, and what happened there. Well, that's kind of like the story up north. They're warriors there, and the Portuguese tried to come in and they kicked them out, and then they have the Ashanti and some other tribes who were doing that. They kicked them out, so nobody went up north, and so and the whole colonization, even after the independence, people looked at the North like that ain't where you want to go. Almost like a Harlem, but a whole and the
The
people
story
are
of
almost untouched.
yeah, the warrior queen is really Yaya Santawa's story, but they didn't give her her name. Yaya Santawa was basically, she was a warrior. She was like the Amazon women, and their mantra was, "I be no prisoner, I take no prisoner." They didn't
Well,
play.
that's where I went into a village. I was given, my warrior helmet. Matter of fact, I'm the face child on the new festival with my helmet and my bow and arrow and stuff. I sent it to match.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So I'm now the advisor to one of the chiefs who is from Alabama. That's his developing property, which is interesting. That's another story, but I think Gary and I will, which is part of what I need to talk to you about. Things look bright as relates to doing some of the business there, and if that happens,
Awesome.
I'm going to need to have some expertise on your end also.
Now, what language do they speak in the north?
Um, it's English, but the dialect, but they have a different, they have a number, depending on what tribe.
Well, there's a whole bunch of
but
language. When
yeah,
I
there's
was
a
in
lot.
Ghana, we spoke Twi,
Yeah, that's basically the basic
the language.
or English, but the English dialect is so deep that you need, almost like in Jamaica, you need a translator. They talk in English. And it took me a while because I would ask for questions, and just like in Senegal, which was French, they would shake their head and smile and didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And would ask me the same question that I asked them, but after a while you kind of get an ear from it. But it's an interesting experience. But if you really want to understand what pre-slavery Africa, we were in some villages, and I have some pictures that I put on Facebook. They're doing the same type of trade that they did before the colonizers came. I mean,
Wow.
it hasn't really been touched, and reason for that, they didn't even have schools. They kind of, since you know how it goes, since they were the warriors, all of the politics, all of the stuff, they left them alone. They were just out
Do
there.
as I say.
That's why many people from Accra, they don't know the history. So most of the people that I talk with have never been to, and it's only what, $250 round trip and an hour ride from Accra on by plane.
And
And
it's one of those things that we have to really work hard on, is to maintain the culture, to maintain the history, than
on
history,
both
our
sides.
story. Yeah, we really do. I was speaking with some, really, they're supposed to be historians, and they didn't know Dr. Ben, didn't know Dr. Clark, Didn't know
Well,
they didn't know Dr. Jeffries, and I'm like, he ain't go anywhere. And
who were these people? What
these were
planet were they on?
educators, supposedly.
Huh?
These were supposed to be educators across the country. And I was all excited. They were supposed to be historians. They knew about all of the Anglo-Saxon stuff,
Yeah,
but
well, you see, the problem I see is that they're trying to erase what little information that are in the books. They're trying to get rid of that.
yeah,
Switch.
it's not a good thing. Today is, what is it, the anniversary of the Holocaust, and I'm not getting political, but I'm just going to say is we still in ours. It's a rough one.
I mean,
They'll get me for that somewhere, I know, but it's just, it's I I think that because they want to take away, and especially this administration, is to basically annihilate us. There was the Tuskegee Airmen.
hmm
They always do the video so that the people who are in the Air Force will understand the history and the power behind those military officers. And well, until yesterday, they put it back in the training because people made a big hoopla about it. Sometimes you just got to speak up.
and you know, I look at it as the last stand. You know, things are going to change. There's a wave of change that nobody is going to be able to deal with because it's bigger than just us. And all of this stuff that's taking place is only because it's kind of like Custer's last stand. You see what
It
happened to
it
Custer?
feels like it.
And
I've
it can
been.
be rough because when you are against the wall, you're gonna do some. I mean, there's a lot that
You gotta
we have to
fight. You
start
gotta you
dealing
gotta
with.
come back.
But the
But
other
you can't
part,
come back if you don't know who you are.
that is what I'm saying. The other
You
part of it
know.
is that we have to awaken the diaspora all over the world. I mean, I was able to meet a major player in the North and in Ghana, period, because his son's, matter of fact, his kind of godson is now the president of Accra, and he is one of those people who has. He's the head of all of the chiefs of the North. He's a powerful guy, and we met with him, and we're the same age. We're both 77, and he says, "My brother, I've been waiting for somebody like you, to come and who understands where I'm coming from, and I understand where you're coming from, and we just bonded, but it allowed for me to understand that there's something else happening. I mean, for me to get there in November for the first time, I had been talking with them and seeing and becoming part of a village and all of that stuff, and then having the opportunity to go back to do business and bring what can be a very lucrative business there. Um, it I don't believe in coincidences.
There's no such thing as coincidence. There is a lot of divine order, but no
and
coincidence.
and so
And it's
2025.
time, because I remember when I was in my 20s that we were well, the brother was here from Sierra Leone, and he said he wanted to do business with black jewelers. And I tried to link him to them, but it didn't work so well. But that was the key because they had the gold and more so the diamonds.
hmm
And they didn't want to share the diamonds with anyone other than from America.
And there's a lot of that.
Africans bought them.
It's just finding the people who can be trusted on both sides, because that's what Gary Jones with New York Jewelry Connection. That was, that's his thing, and his partner, Lou Wallet. She
Yes.
she did jewelry for all of the stars. You know, she laughed. She said they're all dead now, but Sammy Davis Jr., Michael Jackson,
But you
all
know,
of these.
they're dead, but the jewelry's not. Somebody got a hold of that.
Somebody that's true. But at any rate, it's some interesting opportunities that's coming about. I look at 2025. This is the year of the snake. I just kind of wrote about that, and that deals with being intuitive, being strategically minded, strategic thinking. Um, it has a lot of stuff. I was looking at what it meant to me because you
It's
know
the
Lord
fight
Strayhorn.
back. It's the fight back because Lloyd Strayhorn, I know you had him on your show,
Yeah.
and he depressed me because when I watched when I watched his show that he does on Mondays and Wednesdays, the only thing he kept saying is, "Okay, if you're a water sign, you just get through this year, because it's going to be rough." And so I keep trying from a metaphysics point of view to keep in my head that it's not going to be rough. It's going to be an easy, smooth sailing, but that
No, I don't
hasn't
think
shown yet.
I'm a fire sign, so I'm gonna
You're
burn
going to
through
burn
some of
something up.
it, right? But the other part of it though is that it's a time, it's a number nine, so it's a time for reflection and understanding, and you can't just go off. You got to be cautious and strategic. That's what I do. My whole thing is strategic planning. So it looks pretty good, for the things that I want to do based on what they say.
Well, the
Speaking
thing is
of,
it's the time. It's the time to do things.
yeah,
But like you said, it's to be strategic
you got to be
because
strategic.
everything is not, I mean, after this first month that we've experienced some of the laws that have changed and rules and regs, and things that are changing on a continuous basis by the administration, you know, uh, we got to be prepared.
Now, which is kind of a segue into some of the stuff I wanted to talk to you about. You're
Hmm.
tied into regulations and you got all of the licenses and all of that stuff. What do you see? You be a Lloyd Strayhorn in taxes and accountings and all of those things. What do you see as far as the changes? People are getting ready for their taxes, and there's a different kind of conversation about, well, certain taxes. If you got a certain amount of money, you might get over. If you don't have a certain amount of money, you're in trouble. What are you seeing? What are you telling your people?
What I see and what has been through the ages, we have financial illiteracy. People
Yeah.
don't understand, and especially in our community, because the insurance man comes to our neighborhood, but the investment advisor usually doesn't. And now we got all these tax places up that come up only during tax season.
Tax
You can't
season.
even find them if you have a question. And all of them are working on what we thought, but we were lied to. We were told that we were supposed to get a refund. Refund good. Refund real good. No, refund not good. Refund's bad. And I keep telling folks, that means that you let the government hold your money for 12 months and they give it back. No interest. Who does that? Who gives money away? Let them hold it. Shoot, we can't even get, when cousin Bubba come by and say, I want to borrow something, we're like, but you're going to let the government take your money when you could plan and strategize. So what I see is that it's getting worse. We have they've relegated us basically to a fixed tax system because most of the deductions, especially here in New York, out the window. This tax law was supposed to expire in 2025, but we didn't anticipate the administrator who created this, who's president right now. We didn't expect that to keep going. We were looking for a change. So what we see is that businesses that are registered properly and ready to go, those businesses are good. They can make some money, such as if you're an S corp or a C corp. Small businesses, they're going to have some challenges. We just got notice, I think it was last year, at the end of last year, that people who have Schedule C, self employment, tax returns, have a good chance of getting audited. They have hired a bunch of people. So the government has hired people like the commissioner of IRS said it so well. He said, "We go after the little people because the big people too difficult." So,
That's not funny, but that's
no, but
sad.
it's true. But it's not. It is sad because that's where they go. Prove that you have these children. And we're part of our own problem because in our community, if someone doesn't claim their child, we're the quickest person to go pick it up and try to get it as a deduction so they can make some more money. They get a write off. It's a deduction of about 2,000 per child. Then we go and split it with each other. Do things right. Why? Because that child's going to grow up and go to college, and when they do, someone's going to ask who's your parents, who fill out those financial aid forms. Who gets you? Well, Bobby had me one year, and Julie had me another year. you know, we got to cut that stuff out. But it's the lack of knowledge. There's some good things. People go on a job, they hear about a 401k plan or a 403b, not my favorite, but those are things that they have access to put away for their retirement because we're going to need some money for retirement because we living long and we looking good. Look at you. We living long, looking good, you know. So therefore, I mean, they say that there's 127,000 people in this country that are over the age of 100. That means Social Security is going to be an issue because they're going to be here a long time. It means that long-term care is going to be an issue because we may be able to cook for ourselves, but we may not be able to go to the bathroom by ourselves. Okay, so these things we've got to prepare for. So tax-wise, with the taxes the way they are, the tax laws that exist now are not pro-worker because you can't take deductions for things that you do for your job. For example, teachers. Teachers get an immediate write-off of $300. That ain't a lot. So then what happens is that when they buy for the classes, now I'll tell you, charter schools are a lot more liberal than our city schools. The charter schools pay for a lot of stuff, but for the city schools, they don't. And they can't deduct it off their taxes because they have to meet a certain margin for it to be deductible. Our real estate tax. We're in a big problem. We've told people all along, buy a house, you get write-offs. Yeah, but till they got this thing called SALT, state and local tax. What did it do? It took away our deductions of our real estate tax. So we got friends and family that in Long Island and they're paying 15,000 in real estate tax
Wow.
and they can only deduct 10 and that's including what was withheld from their paychecks already. So they ain't getting no they're not getting, if you buy a house and it's valued at when you bought it at over $750,000, you're not going to get your full mortgage interest deduction. If you go to taking an equity loan, you build, you got the house. There's only two ways to get money out of a house, either to sell it or take a loan out of it. So you get uh, you get your mortgage, you look at it, you say, oh, I bought the house, it was 200,000 and now it's worth 1 million. Okay. If you take that equity out right now, take any of it as a loan, and you don't spend it on the house, no deduction. See, these
Oh,
are the
wow.
things that used to help us, and
What
now
about
they don't.
insurance? Because a lot of people have talked about using insurance for some of these things that we use the 401ks and
There's
all of
some
these other
really
things.
beautiful techniques with insurance. The living benefit of life insurance. You know, when
Yeah,
they
the
come
living
knocking on
benefits,
our
not the death
door,
benefit. Yeah.
they do term insurance. Well, I tell folks that's like rent. That's what it does. It just takes care of you dying. There's nothing in the middle there, you know, where the living benefit of life insurance and either whole life or universal life, those, the world of what I like to say is insurance companies are just like casinos. They always win. You just trying to get your part. Okay. And so there are some strategies, but you have to be careful. And what people do, and they've done it online a lot, they tell folks, um, oh, you're going to put money into the life insurance policy and you can take it out tax free. Okay, there's some little things in between there that they didn't tell people about, like things called overfunding, putting more money in than what really covers the insurance policy so that it'll have some growth. It can't grow just because you put your regular premium in. It doesn't work that way. But they don't teach that. And that's why I'm out here doing financial literacy because I tell I tell folks I eat okra. I slip out with everything. I tell everything.
Well, there's just so much, and sometimes, which has gotten a lot of people in trouble, you just get somebody to just do it for me, and that somebody, if they're not the right person, you find yourself, because your name is on it, so you start to tell the
Well,
judge,
it's that
well, I
part that
didn't
you
know.
sign. The signing says that under perjury, I am signing this because I'm telling the truth. It's just like I have warned, and I put that warning out again, is that if they ask you, do you invest in virtual or crypto point, currency? There's a little box there. You're supposed to say yes or no. A lot of people, because of fear, they say no, but they do. And if they do and they said no,
That's
there's that
perjury,
perjury.
and you can go to jail.
Don't do that. Tell the story. If you bought or got paid, the reason why they're asking now, we've gone through this for like 4 years. The reason why they ask it now is because they want you to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
So if you made a profit, that's a capital gain. If it's less than a year, well, it's ordinary income.
Mm-hmm.
No breaks. And all of this stuff is just the lack of knowledge. We've been told, we could get away. There are people who do, and I ain't got no problems with multi-level marketing, but they go into multi-level marketing not to make a profit. They go into it so they can deduct the losses. Well, here
And
comes Uncle Sam knocking on the door, getting ready to tell you, I got 47,000 agents ready to sit with some of you, and you better be able to prove it. We in
that,
trouble.
yeah. But on the other end, and at least that's what I'm hearing, because I'm not at that level yet. If you are wealthy, there are still a lot of loopholes, obviously, that you can do. If you,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
There's some good stuff. If you really are in profit for your business, number one, you start from the beginning. Your corporate taxes will be less if you file them properly. Your S corps and things, you pay yourself a little salary, you get a chance to deduct and get some benefits. But there's some good things for even the small business owner. Because if you own a business, now under normal circumstances, I had my rude awakening because I talked to a group of young ladies and found out there's a lot of folks who don't get allowances. See, I came from the allowance era. You did some work and you got your little money and you learned how to work with your money. But I was talking to this group of about 20 young ladies, and I said, so you take your allowance and you break it up. And they were
What's
like,
that?
so, but in this, where my point is that if you have a child and they do some work for you because you have a business, they sweep the floor, they're part of a commercial, whatever, then what happens is when you pay them, you could open up a Roth IRA for them and start their retirement, and
Mm.
you get to deduct paying them. There's some nice little loophole there. hmm
Well,
we just need to sit with, and that's where the difference between a tax preparer and a tax consultant. A tax preparer,
it's
give
just
me your
preparing the
info, I
notes.
ask no questions, I pay, then I go and I could try to convince you to do a loan, to get the money back. Yeah, let me just say this. In addition to the fact that you gave the government your money all year long, they're going to give it back to you after when you file for it. But then in addition to it, you want it back faster, so you go and take a rapid,
Loan.
they don't call it rapid, refund anticipation loan. You anticipating getting a refund, you wind up paying anywhere from, it can be up to 80% in interest.
Oh,
Who does that? Why?
80% in
You
interest?
can't wait 14 to 21 days. You got to get it fast. And then within a New York minute, it's all gone. Yeah.
80%. That's basically the banks doing that? You have to
Well,
pay.
it's, yes, the banks and financial institutions sponsor it. And then what they do is they tell you the broken down interest. So when you add, they'll tell you it's like, oh, you're only going to pay like 30% in interest. But no, that's broken down in the time that it takes for them to get the money back. So you're going to pay more,
And
and
are they?
plus, before we fill out a form. That's why I don't do them. I just consciously, I've never done refund anticipation loans. And I know people in our community who are preparers do it all the time. And they get these little storefronts, they
And they say,
pop
yeah,
up.
now we can get you the money right away. All you got to do is, you're gonna get it, but if you want it quicker,
Yeah,
and,
you get it quicker and you pay more.
and you pay
When you
more.
click the button, when we as preparers click the button, the first thing is like $89 just for the fact that we're doing this. And then they start like, I really wish we could become more educated financially on how things work. I remember when I was in school years ago. This is during the time when I was with Gary. I remember because our high school teacher, Mr. Henderson, bless his soul, was the one who trained me how to do taxes.
Is that the
And
one you
I remember,
brought the
huh?
business? Is that the one you brought the business from?
Yes, it is the one who I bought at
Okay,
the age of 19. I
at
bought the
19
business.
years old.
That's why internships work, But but the thing is, Mr. Henderson always told us the best position of a refund is when you owe the government a dollar or they owe you a dollar. Neither one pays.
Hmm.
So I used to try to get it down to that so that I could say I beat the government, but only did it once. But that's the kind of stuff that if we knew, think about it. They do this commercial. I think they stopped it. They might have stopped it because of me, because I didn't talked about it so bad. There's a commercial where this guy Larry gets up on the table and he's dancing because he got a $10,000 refund and he just dancing. And I want to knock him off the table because that's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard. You could have had $833.33 in your pocket. You could have paid bills. You could have paid on your mortgage. You could have, instead, you gave it to the government and they gave it back to you with no interest.
And what how could he have done that?
Change the withholdings. All he had to do was, well, hopefully he had an accountant, but if not, he could honestly work on the chart. They have a chart called the on the W-4 form, and you could figure out how many deductions do you have, how many children you have, do you have mortgage interest, do you have real estate taxes, do you give to contributions to non-profits or to charities, how much. And then once you calculate that, that's going to bring your income down, and then you figure out how much you want to keep. It's that simple. It's not simple, because people don't like to do math. But that's what you can go to an accountant and say, I need to calculate my withholdings, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to, so that I basically will get to keep most of my money. They're going to look at you kind of strange because that's not what's in our community, but that's what we should be doing.
Hmm. Well, education. Tell us again. I know we talk about it often, but probably not often enough. About some of the publications that you've been working with
Oh
as relates
yeah,
to teaching people.
we have a book called How Money Works. Stop Being a Sucker. And that book covers really what we call the 7 money milestones that everybody should be working on: their financial education, things like their insurances, making sure that we don't fight if someone dies, that we get the wills and the things taken care of, our retirement plans, our emergency funds, all these things. That's inside that book. The reason why the book was written by two of my associates was that when you go into the bank and you get to the teller, you look to the left, you look to the right,
Get
there's
lollipops.
candy there. Okay. And before we started the book, there used to be dum dums. So they were really telling you what you think about you. So now the banks are now they're getting a little sophisticated. They're putting their bank logo on it, but it's still dum dum. You know? So that's how we started with that book. Then we went to How Money Works for Women. And the reason why it says How Money Works for Women, Take Control or Lose It. And that's because in the year 2030, you men better be very nice to us, because the average group of women in this country will be managing $30 trillion. Will
Mm.
have it in their hand. Y'all better be nice. And therefore, but we need to know what to do with it. You know, it will come from inheritance, it will come from jobs that we've worked on, all this stuff. This money will come at us. But if we don't do right, we'll have some red bottom shoes. You know, so we don't want that. We need to educate. So How Many Works for Women take 9 different women and take them through issues that they will run into, such as a 19-year-old who's going to have student loans, or someone who's in their 30s who's starting a new career or a new business. Also, there's a one character that she has an autistic child. How do you handle that? Also, there's one Ming. She has the father needs to be taken care of. Her children need to be taken care of. She's part of the sandwich generation. And one of my
The
favorite
sandwich
characters,
generation.
yeah,
Oh.
there's a sandwich. I'm sandwiched. You know? And one of my favorites is one of the characters. She's been a mom, and there are a lot of women out here who have been home housekeepers, you know, of their homes, you know, keepers of their homes, taking care of the family. Don't know a thing about what the finances look like. The husband gives them their allowance and they buy whatever they have to. What happens if the husband dies? What do you know? And that's a character that talks about what you have to know if your spouse passes. And that's on either side, male or female.
That's
But
true.
that's important because a lot of people don't know about Social Security. They don't know about the bank accounts. They don't know how the bills were ever paid. He took care of it or she took care of it. That was the end. Can't do that these days, you know. And so that's the one book. Now there's a new book coming out. As a matter of fact, I'm going down to Dallas. We're going to be covering more information on how money works and financial educators. I'm a certified financial educator. I like that better than a certified financial planner. And the reason being is because people don't want to talk to a planner, but they'll talk to an educator. You know, and so we're going to try to get more financial literacy into the school system. There's Sharon Lecter, who was the co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Didn't get credit for it. It's a thing being a woman. And so anyway, she co-authors it, and she got some of the schools to start to teach financial literacy. That was during the Bush W, his administration. But we're still lacking. The kids don't know. And then what they do is in a financial literacy program, they teach how you write a check. Ain't nobody writes no check no more. They don't write checks. You know, they do, way back. You know how to get your piggy bank to put money in the piggy bank. Okay, that's cute. The kids ain't thinking about that. I did a session with these young ladies, and when they said they didn't get an allowance, one of them stood up and said, "No, but I got a credit card. My dad gave me a credit card." She's 16 years old. She got a credit card. And
You know,
so,
I have a question which is really off the wall, but we were talking about piggy banks. I've been looking for a place. I got so many damn pennies all over the place and loose change. There used to be a place, I think one of the banks, TD Bank, and you could put all your money in it and quarters, but whatever that is, and you
and it
would
would
get,
count it for you.
yeah, and
They
then
got
every
rid
you
of
could,
that.
yeah, you could put it in your account. But
The only
I know there
one
must
that
be
does,
places.
the only place that does it now, and I think it's Stop and Shop. They have Coinstar, and Coinstar you can do the dumping, and then you get the receipt. They hope that it's in one of the supermarkets. Other than that, this is why I think people have children, because you need to get them to start rolling.
Matter of fact, Elon Musk wants to get rid of pennies. You know, he said, "What's it?"
I know, but he can't get rid of pennies till I go through my entire penny 10,
That's why I'm.
because
That's
somewhere
why
in
I'm
there
trying to
that
find a way to cash some of these pennies in. You know,
get
or
the,
even
well, it's copper for most of them. It would be interesting if he totally, but the thing is, there are some rare pennies out here.
yeah. I'm sure I got a
Yeah.
lot of them, but
There's the,
quarters too.
oh, yes.
I
And
mean, I
there's
got.
the thing that I tell folks is just don't get rid of grandma's gold and silver coins. Hold on to the gold and silver coins.
And silver dollars. I got some of my grandma.
Yep, don't get rid of those, because those are dealt with by weight. And so you may have an ounce in a coin, but it says $1 on it. So an ounce of silver is somewhere around $19-20 an ounce. That's if you weigh it. But if you just go to the store, it says $1. So that's what you get.
I mean, that's heartbreaking. You know, because I might have done that. You know?
I know. That's why I said is I'm on a mission. My mission is to educate, because it's like I have sent folks home to look at their. I said, "Do you have any of those Liberty, silver dollars?" And they're like, "Yeah, but it's just $1." No, it could be up to $300-400.
That's interesting.
But we do give away. We give away a lot,
A
And
lot.
how many people, I think about it when we do financial, strategies and stuff like that. How many people go into a store, and every time they buy something, it may be 99 cents, so they leave the penny.
A
Okay,
lot of
so 100
times.
people do that. That's $1.
That's $1.
I asked for my penny.
You know, and I have to confess, at some point in my life, it came to my mind that I'm not gonna argue over no penny. I mean, what the hell? You know, I got more pennies than I can use, and you know, and we kind. But you're right, and I have said to myself, how many people have come in and sometimes they don't even give you the option. They just
No, they
they
keep
just
it.
keep the
And then
penny.
I stand there and say, penny, you know, it
But
is, but I see the producers put up, I do financial analysis sometimes with and people can call if they want to have a plan. It's no obligation because at this stage people need, and especially those that are dealing with their taxes and
especially
things.
now,
But
I don't know how
I'll
you.
tell you,
I, I don't know why you put that sign up. I don't know whether you need more people call. I know you got. I know you.
I don't buy. I
Me
have a
included.
team. I have a team. And so, but the thing is to get people to really look at where they're at, not just investments, but in life.
Yeah.
Because if we don't get this together, I teasingly talk to my clients at times and I'll say to them, the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want to be the only person talking about my Grey Poupon. I
Well,
need some more people working with me. But
well,
again, he put up, if you want the book, you can send me an email at Anaj Enterprises Inc., ANAJ Enterprises Inc. at Gmail, and just say you want the book, and you got to give me your address
and
because
which
it's a
book? And
physical
which book?
book.
Because you talked about three. So
Yeah, it's a physical book. And we do have an ebook also. So if you say you want the ebook is Change Your Literacy, Change Your Life. Because if you change your financial literacy, my tagline is always the same, is that, if you know better, you'll do better.
and the book about for women,
Yes,
that's
they can
different
get that
from.
book too.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
can do that. If you want the How Money Works for Women's book, you can get it. We're coming out at the end of this week with the How Money Works Next Step, which is for the millennials and the Gen Z people.
Mm-hmm.
We got something for everybody. And it's not difficult reading, it's simple reading. It got pictures. I've had people complain because they say it's too easy. It's got a picture. It's got pictures. It's got cartoons. I said, that's because we need to do it this way so you'll read it, So we try to make it as simple. We've got videos, just to help people understand. And if you don't understand, because I had someone call me and they said, this is really a good book. I done read it 3 times. I still don't get it. So I said, well, give me a call. Let's sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, and your next books, I suggest start to focus on people like myself, the baby boomers, in their 70s and 77s, and I'll be 78 in June, and I'm still doing stuff, and and
I
and
told you, y'all ain't going anywhere.
and,
You just got a plan.
and I
I
didn't
think they
know
need to
Yana when I
change.
should have known her. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that people
Well,
like
I'm about
myself.
to do some workshops also. We're going to start after I get back from Dallas and learn all the stuff that we're going to be providing for folks. I'm going to start doing a series on Zoom so that people can learn easily and be able to ask questions. Most people don't want to ask questions until I get off of the air, and then I get all of these emails and questions. Well, what about this? What about, I'm like, oh.
Well,
Because if you
it's a
ask a
lot to
question,
process. Sometimes it's like some of the jokes people tell. It take you maybe a minute before you get it and you start laughing, but you got to process it.
I got it.
Process it.
The processing period. I got it.
And
Well,
and
that's
and
why,
now
because even with my show, Access Wealth Nation
I was just
on
I was just getting
Thursdays,
I was
same
just getting
network.
you beat me to that. I was just getting ready to
Yes. Well,
talk to you
that
about
they can
this one.
ask questions. I want people to learn. It's a learning experience. Thank you.
Well, Yana, I appreciate every time I talk with you, I learn, which is why I'm getting on your calendar for next week when you come back from Dallas, because I have some, I'm like everybody else, I got some questions, and I know you're doing that because you're like my sister, because I know you don't need no other person coming into your life at this particular point with all of the stuff that you're dealing with. But nevertheless,
No, but
we'll
I
talk.
this is what I do. I was put on this planet, and I finally gave the idea is I was put on this planet to help people to understand how money works. I just didn't know.
Well, your classmate Gary Jones, he always laughed. He says, when they had the honor roll come up, we all knew that Yana was gonna be right at the top. She was real smart. I was trying to compete with her, and I just fell down. I couldn't keep up the pace.
It's funny you don't know who's watching you.
He said, yeah.
Definitely, but I love Gary and he has a brother is Greg and Gary. They were the twins. That's how
Right,
we
right,
talked
right.
about them. The twins.
Yeah. He had a twin. So, at any rate, we'll have to talk to you about what we're doing with Gary
Okay.
in Ghana. But thank you, Yana. Thank you for coming on, and for those who are listening, thank you. Looking at us, this is again. 2025. So there's a lot of connections that we have to start doing now, which is one of the good things about what's happening with this administration. Those many of the people who almost like COVID.
You've
I
got to
didn't know
do
about
something.
Zoom. It sometimes takes some kind of a catastrophe to build something new. So
Definitely.
anyway, thank you, Yana. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
Dr.
having
Yana
me.
Woodhouse. And for Soul City and the group, thanks for your patience. I'm not the easiest person to work with, I know, but nevertheless, I'm a senior, so I can get away with a lot of stuff. When I want to be a senior, sometimes I want to be 50, but that's another story. Next week, we'll again be back with you, and don't forget Harlem Tourism Board network meeting February the 19th. The Meadowlink opening on February the 6th, and you'll hear more about that on Soul City or on HTB or the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce and many of the other network options that we have. So, again, thank you, and this is Tony Rogers, again thanking Dr. Yana Woodhouse and team at Soul City, and hope to see you next week. Take care.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Urbanology.